Breaking news from deep space. At 0347 a.m. UTC, multiple orbital tracking systems registered something that should not exist. A geometric structure, precise, continuous, mathematically perfect, began forming around Earth at a radius of exactly 500,000 kilometers. Not an orbit, not debris, a ring. Moments earlier, Interstellar object 3I Atlas was still cataloged as a hyperbolic visitor, moving at 62 kilometers per second relative to the Sun, on a trajectory that would carry it beyond Jupiter's orbit within months. Then, in less than 11 minutes, its motion changed. Today, the impossible just happened. What began as a faint perturbation in the deep space network became a synchronized global alert spanning 3 continents. Telescopes in Chile, Hawaii, and the Canary Islands all saw the same thing: a thin, luminous arc encircling our planet, perfectly centered, perfectly stable. This changes everything we thought we knew about celestial mechanics. If you want real-time updates on cosmic events like this, make sure you're subscribed, because what we're about to examine is not speculation, it's data. And the data is extraordinary. Within minutes of the initial alert, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory confirmed the anomaly through independent radar echoes. The European Space Agency cross-referenced readings from the European Space Network in Darmstadt. At Caltech, high-resolution simulations were launched using archived trajectory data of 3I Atlas. Harvard's Center for Astrophysics pulled spectral logs from the previous 72 hours. The Atacama Large Millimeter Array in Chile began deep-band scanning at 230 gigahertz. Across North America, Europe, and South America, instruments agreed. The ring was real. It was not an atmospheric artifact. It was not space debris. It was not gravitational lensing. The radius, measured from Earth's center, was 500,000 kilometers. For context, the Moon orbits at an average of 384,400 kilometers. This structure extended well beyond lunar orbit, yet remained perfectly concentric. And at its geometric center, Earth. The James Webb Space Telescope pivoted within 18 minutes of the alert. Hubble followed shortly after. Both recorded a faint, coherent glow along the ring's circumference, a narrow band emitting in the near-infrared spectrum at approximately 1.2 microns. It was not random scattering, it was uniform. And uniformity in astrophysics is rarely natural. 48 hours before the event, 3I Atlas showed minor deviations in acceleration. Its velocity vector shifted by 0.002 kilometers per second, small enough to dismiss as outgassing. Comets do this. Sublimation jets can produce asymmetrical thrust. But this was not perihelion. Solar heating at its distance, 1.8 astronomical units, was insufficient to explain the magnitude or precision of the change. 11 hours later, its spectral signature changed. Previously dominated by cyanogen and water vapor emission lines, 3I Atlas began displaying narrow-band spikes at 1420 MHz, the hydrogen line, the same frequency long used in SETI searches for intelligent transmission. At first, analysts assumed interference. They were wrong. 6 hours before the ring formation, Earth-based magnetometers detected a subtle fluctuation, 3.1 nanoteslas above baseline, across synchronized stations in Alaska, Finland, and Tasmania. The disturbance was global and symmetric. It was as if something was mapping us. 3 hours before the event, 3I Atlas dimmed by 12% in visible light while increasing in infrared luminosity. Thermal readings suggested internal heating, approximately 310 Kelvin at the core region, far warmer than expected for a dormant interstellar body. Then came the silence. At 0336 a.m. UTC, 3I Atlas vanished from optical detection for exactly 94 seconds. No reflection, no thermal emission, no radar cross-section. It did not fragment, it did not explode, it simply ceased registering. And then, at 03:47 a.m., the ring appeared. The formation was not gradual, it was instantaneous, or as close as our instruments can measure. Within 2 consecutive 30-second observation windows, a complete 360-degree band manifested at 500,000 kilometers, perfectly circular. No natural gravitational process could produce such symmetry around a rotating, magnetically active planet with atmospheric drag and tidal influences. The ring's thickness measured approximately 1.3 kilometers. Its mass, estimated via perturbation analysis on GPS satellites, was surprisingly low, less than a medium-sized asteroid. Yet its structural coherence was extraordinary. Dr. Elias Wren, orbital dynamicist at Caltech, ran 12,000 simulations overnight. None reproduced the ring's geometry through known mechanisms, not tidal shredding, not particle capture, not magnetic confinement. Meanwhile, Dr. Amara Kovacs at the European Space Agency initiated spectroscopic decomposition. The ring emitted faint lines consistent with ionized silicon and carbon, but arranged in crystalline alignment, not random dust. The mainstream hypothesis emerged quickly. Perhaps 3I Atlas disintegrated under internal stress, distributing material along a resonant orbit that coincidentally aligned with Earth's gravitational equilibrium points. Coincidentally. But the alternative hypothesis, whispered in private channels, was different. What if it wasn't coincidence? 12 hours after formation, the ring began pulsing. Not visibly, electromagnetically. Every 17 minutes, radio telescopes detected a burst at 4.83 gigahertz, lasting precisely 1.7 seconds. The intervals were exact to the millisecond. Prime number sequences emerged within the modulation pattern. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. This was no longer random. It was responding. The pulses were synchronized across the entire circumference, meaning the structure behaved as a unified system, a ring 500,000 kilometers wide, acting as one instrument. Satellite operators reported brief communication blackouts during pulse peaks, nothing catastrophic, just enough to be noticed. In Tokyo, a weather satellite rebooted unexpectedly. In Brazil, migratory bird tracking systems showed sudden deviations in direction, as if magnetic cues shifted momentarily. Governments remained silent. Behind closed doors, emergency meetings convened. Encrypted memos leaked within 24 hours. One phrase repeated across agencies: non-natural symmetry. At NASA headquarters, internal briefings emphasized calm. Publicly, the anomaly was described as a transient debris formation. Privately, modeling teams struggled to explain how debris could maintain micron-level alignment across 3.14 million miles of circumference. Gravitational modeling revealed something even stranger. The ring was not orbiting Earth in the conventional sense. Its velocity relative to Earth's rotation was effectively zero. It was stationary in inertial space, which means Earth was rotating inside it. That defied orbital mechanics. Dr. Liu Wen at the Shanghai Astronomical Observatory proposed a plasma confinement explanation, perhaps charged particles trapped in a stable magnetospheric shell. But plasma does not maintain crystalline emission lines. Another theory surfaced from a Harvard computational physicist, Dr. Samuel Iqbal. What if 3I Atlas was never a simple comet? What if it carried embedded structures, dormant until triggered by proximity to a biosphere? The second wave of anomalies arrived 36 hours later. Gravitational sensors detected micro-variations along the ring, synchronized fluctuations of 10 to the negative 8 G. The entire structure oscillated as though adjusting, and then for 22 seconds the pulses stopped.
complete silence. When they resumed, the sequence had changed. It now encoded the digits of pi to 12 decimal places. Control rooms fell quiet. Mathematics is universal. Nature produces randomness, chaos, turbulence. It does not transmit transcendental constants in timed intervals. Across Europe and North America, observatories turned fully toward the ring. The James Webb telescope captured a high-resolution segment. Within the band were repeating geometric nodes, evenly spaced every 10,000 kilometers. Nodes, not clumps, not fragments, nodes. Each approximately 40 meters across, reflecting in precise angles. Engineered angles. Inside government facilities, contingency protocols activated. Not panic, preparation. Satellite constellations were repositioned, military radar systems recalibrated. The International Space Station adjusted orientation to minimize interference. And yet life on Earth continued. Cities slept, oceans moved. The ring remained invisible to the naked eye, too faint against the sky. But it was there, and circling us. A perfect circle. In quieter moments, I find myself reflecting not on the threat, but the intention. A circle is not an aggressive shape. It is enclosure, boundary, completion. Perhaps we are not witnessing an attack. Perhaps we are witnessing a marker, an announcement. For centuries, humanity has scanned the cosmos for signs of intelligence, radio dishes aimed outward, listening for whispers. What if the answer did not come as a whisper, but as architecture? We must remain cautious. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. The mainstream explanation still argues for unknown plasma physics, for rare gravitational resonance amplified by interstellar material composition. It is possible, but possibility narrows with every data packet. As of this recording, the ring remains stable. No decay in structure, no orbital drift. Pulses continue at 17-minute intervals. Earth rotates. The moon passes through the ring's inner boundary without disruption, as though the structure anticipates its motion. That detail unsettles many of us, because anticipation implies modeling, and modeling implies awareness. Maybe this is not the end of physics. Maybe it is the expansion of it. For the first time in recorded history, we are inside a structure not made by human hands. A ring drawn at 500,000 kilometers, centered precisely on us. Breaking news often fades. This will not. Because the final question is no longer whether 3I Atlas changed course. It is why it chose Earth as the center of its geometry, and what happens when the pulses stop again. If you want to follow every update as scientists decode this unprecedented phenomenon, make sure you're subscribed. The ring is still there, silent, perfect, waiting, and the story is only beginning.